We're joined now on the Mattress Warehouse hotline by JP Finlay from NBC Sports Washington, covers the Washington football team for that fine network. What's up, JP? Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Merry almost Christmas. Hope you're doing well.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for giving us your time.
Of course, man.
Hey,
isn't this crazy?
You did not get an invite to Dwayne Haskins' private post-game party?
Yeah, where's your jersey?
I did not get the invite. Although at a different time, you could argue that looked like a fun party. Maybe not for me, but for people out there, that looks like a good time. It's just such an unbelievably dumb decision, man.
I think one of the penalties should be don't suspend him, make him wear one of the jerseys during the game.
Just over his pads or under?
Valdez's
over his pads.
Valdez's idea was to force him to wear a mask throughout the game. You know he wasn't wearing one.
Yeah, you know how like when you're a kid and you get caught like smoking cigarettes at like 16, and then your parents make you smoke like a whole pack so you get sick? Well, this will be like that. You have him wear 3 masks over his face while playing quarterback.
Like when a 10-year-old wants to try beer and you let them try it and they think it's disgusting and they'll never drink it again. Yeah. It's just, maybe that'll work. Nothing else seems to be working.
But see, here's the thing, JP. Rivera's kind of in a pickle, man, because I know that they're pretty confident Alex can go, and I think Alex will start. But what if Alex goes down again? I mean, in a must-win game, you can't go to Taylor Heineke. I mean, good beer, but I don't want him playing against Carolina in a must-win situation, especially if the Giants win, which they won't. But, he's in a pickle. He's in a spot. I think he's got to keep him.
It's rock and hard place, and it's really unfair. I mean, we can make all the jokes, and it's funny in a bizarre and dumb situation, but it's really unfair to Ron Rivera, and it's really unfair to the other Washington football team players. I mean, I know for a fact that there have been guys that have been unable to see their family, unable, like one guy's sister had a baby they haven't met yet. The player hasn't been able to meet, the baby yet because of these NFL protocols, and they're taking it really seriously. And I think if you look at how Washington has fared with COVID testing compared to the rest of the league, you can tell that they're taking it seriously. I mean, clearly this is a virus that's beyond any one person's control, but there are some teams that have had outbreaks and numerous situations and others that haven't, and Washington hasn't. They haven't had an active player test positive in the regular season, and I think that deserves, some level of accolades for how they're handling everything, and then to see just the egregious nature of what Dwayne was up to. It's just got to be so disappointing, and I would understand if Ron was legitimately angry. Particularly, he just started. He played at least a really good quarter in the fourth quarter. There was reason to believe, oh man, Dwayne can help this again. Like maybe things have come around, and then anybody that was bashing Ron about benching Dwayne, I don't think they are now, because it's such a vivid illustration of kind of the issues that Rivera felt like he was fighting against.
JP, if they weren't so reliant on needing Haskins this weekend, potentially against the Carolina Panthers, at least in a backup role, if Alex is able to go, would he have been released already? Like if Alex were 100%, didn't have any health issues, would Haskins be on the roster right now, in your opinion?
It's a great question, Cakes, and I think he would. Ron's going to get asked that today, so we'll get some level of clarity. I think here's the thing. I think even with Quentin Dunbar and Trent Williams way back when Ron took the job and he met with those guys in February, he was quite upset with their response to meeting with him about, trying to start fresh and see what they could build going forward. But he, at the same time, he didn't make any quick trigger decisions. He processed that, all right, I want these guys gone, but he was going to do it kind of methodically and at least try to get what he could for them. and, he waited, was able to find trade partners, do it that way. Like, I don't think Dwayne is here I don't think Dwayne is here for training camp in 2021. But if you release him now, certainly you could be sending a message. But kind of to Bish's earlier point, like that message is contradictory in a way. If it's all about team first, and you cut this guy right now with the Alex's leg uncertainty, and in a playoff push, are you being fair to are you thinking of the team first? Or are you just mad at this guy and want to set an example? Mm-hmm. To me, in a perfect world is the wrong example, but if it was me, I think you wait. You tell Dwayne he can't come in the facility this week. And I think that's just a protocol thing. I think there's probably some list, the close contact list or something, and you keep him out. If Alex can go, you're in good shape. If not, by Sunday he would have passed. I mean, these guys get tested every day, so that'd be 5 or 6 negative tests, and then you still have, a quarterback that started for you that has played well in flashes, and you still have a good option to win the game. And then Ron can deal with his anger and disappointment and all of that when we get to the offseason, when he's not letting the rest of the team down. It's tough because
tough spot.
This is a must-win game.
Must win. I mean, if this is week 4, okay, it makes the decision easy. You're probably guessing on this, but are there any supporters of Dwayne in the locker room?
I am guessing. I would guess
maybe the Chase Youngs of the world, but I mean, what about Bostic and Pierre Lewis and Ryan? I mean, there's just Kerrigan. I mean, there's just no way that they support this.
Think about Nick Sundberg said this, months ago, about how hard it is to live with these protocols and that fans maybe don't get it because fans are still able to. And this was September when things weren't quite as, we weren't locked down as much as things are again now. But, those guys really can't do anything. Otherwise, they're violating protocol, could be fined, could be suspended. Or I think worse than that for these guys is if they got the virus and then spread it in the locker room. And then look at what the Ravens went through. Look at what the Titans went through. Those types of situations, nobody wants to be the reason that happens, right? And right. I think that meant more to all these players than all the rest of it. And then to see somebody so blatantly just disregard that, this isn't. I think Dwayne has plenty of supporters when he throws a pick or when he takes a bad sack or airmails a pass. There are plenty of people, hey, Dwayne, get him next time, man. We believe in you. But this is so different from that. This is just a total disregard for your teammates. And I think that's why there's probably a different reaction.
Joined by JP Finlay from NBC Sports Washington. Give him a follow on Twitter if you're not already, at JP Finlay NBCS. And forget about his time and tenure here, which I believe is short. Just sounds like you do too. Who's going to want to pick him up? What NFL general manager is going to look at Haskins and what his body of work so far and on and off the field and say, yeah, that's a guy I want coming in and that I want in my locker room, that I want leading my team. I think he's completely jeopardized his NFL future with what he's done this past year by breaching the COVID protocols not once but twice.
Yeah, I think there's a legitimate discussion about his future in the league as a whole. Because, listen, he did not impress the coaching staff from last year. And that's Jay, that's Kevin O'Connell, that's Bill Callahan. And you can dismiss those guys if you want because they were losing last year. But those guys are all over the NFL. So when you got 3 or 4 organizations, when the question comes up, hey, Dwayne's available, are we interested? And you get hard no's from veteran coaches. Like that's a handful of organizations, right? I think clearly his relationship with the Washington organization had already soured when he got benched and moved to third string. And he's only playing now because they need him, right? And now this happens. I can't imagine. And with first-round picks, because of the fifth-year option, you see this. I mean, you saw this with Josh Doxson. If you go through a third season, which would be next year for Dwayne, and then a team elects not to pick up the fifth-year option, most of the time those guys get released in their fourth year. Because what are we hanging on to this investment for if we're not even picking up a team-friendly option at the end of the contract? So I think he certainly has one more year in the NFL because of the terms of a rookie deal for a quarterback are so advantageous. And I keep saying it, he does have NFL talent. He's got a cannon of an arm, but the brain's got to catch up to the arm at some point. And there's little evidence towards it. I think you trade him for whatever you can get next season to a team and a situation that's willing to take him on, with like maybe a strong veteran presence or something. And then it's up to that team if they're going to keep him. But the team that maybe trades for him in 2021 has only invested a sixth-round pick or something, a fifth-round pick. So to them, it's a lot easier to move on, whereas Washington made a huge mistake taking him 15th overall.
It's going to be interesting to see what Ron does, and we'll find out more today, I'm sure. You will. But if you had to put money on it, does Alex start Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they desperately wanted him to start last week. I think they would have waited till Sunday morning to make the call if they thought it was progressing at all. I think they would have given him every possible second. So, I've seen the Schefter report that they think there's a really good chance. The problem, I think, is you need Alex back to what he was against Pittsburgh. If you get the version of Alex that played the first half against the Niners, that's not helping you either.
Mm-hmm.
He was clearly hurt in that Niners game.
Right. Absolutely. What about Gibby?
And it's not like – I'm sorry, go ahead.
What about Gibson? What are you hearing on him? He probably won't go.
I watched him pretty intently last Friday when we were out there, and he looked pretty far away, honestly. He was able to run, but it was usually when guys are working their way back from injury, they're able to kind of look normal straight line and still have speed and burst. You're like, oh, maybe they can do it. And then when they cut, they have nothing. He couldn't even go straight line. So it was quite gimpy. Now, this will be almost 5 days later, so maybe that foot's had more time to heal. We'll see. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see him today.
Right. Do me a favor, text me, or I'll text you sometime today. I just want to know what you see.
For sure.
So that being said, how are you feeling about? Let's just assume Alex goes for this game. We have no idea about McCaffrey. Matt Rule said he hopes to see him on the practice field today. I doubt he plays, but I don't know. I mean, if he looks good and feels good, maybe he does. He's a competitor. He probably wants to go out there and play. But they've got weapons. Bridgewater's no slouch. He hadn't thrown for a ton of touchdowns, but they can score. They always seem to get back in games in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. And they've got all kinds of talent on the outside. So I think the front four for Washington plays a pivotal role here. You got to get after Bridgewater and rush him. But I don't know. How you feeling?
I like their chances this week. I think Ron has to go all in for this game. I think the team will respond to Ron this week, knowing it's the team that fired him. I think you'll see a really, really strong defensive effort. And I think even this Dwayne stuff will allow them kind of a rallying point. And if I would be terrified of having to beat Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in Philly week 17, just because what Hurts is doing is crazy. I mean, that's lightning in a bottle right now. I think they recognize this is their opportunity and to go and win it. And I think you see a laser-focused team. I really do. If you can hold Seattle to 20, I mean, just a regular offensive performance, I think they could have won that game. And you're right. I think people are greatly underestimating the Panthers, especially those receivers. I don't know why on earth you would play Christian McCaffrey at this point if you're out of it. And
you wouldn't.
I I don't get that at all, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, the Panthers are pretty good. I think you'd really love to have Gibson back because you could run on them. If not, I think you'll see McKissick get a bunch of carries and Logan Thomas have a really big day.
Yeah, you touch on Logan Thomas. I'm stunned by his numbers. I mean, before when he was signed and we were talking about what his role would be with the team and what sort of numbers he'd put up, I think my number was like if he comes anywhere between like 40 and 45 catches, the staff has to be thrilled with that. He's way surpassed that. He's at 62 already, and he's found the end zone 5 times. That's a great signing by that front office.
It is. I mean, it's a home run. And Ron really likes to credit tight ends coach Pete Hainer. Hainer, by all accounts, said, listen, I really think this guy's on the verge of becoming a breakout player, and he deserves a lot of credit. And Logan deserves a ton of credit. He's a hard worker, great locker room guy. You guys know Lorenzo Alexander. Yep. Lorenzo and Logan played together, I think, with the Cardinals, and Lorenzo speaks really highly of Logan's work ethic and just the kind of person he is. And, this year's been annoying in that all my conversations with Logan have all been on Zoom, but you can see why coaches loved him just by his demeanor and the way he carries himself. Even in practice, going all the way back to training camp, when he would make mistakes, he was super hard on himself. We could see it and watch it. And then the versatility he brings, he's good hands, is really learning how to play the position well. He's a capable blocker who's invested in being a good blocker. I think Vernon Davis was a capable blocker, but in the latter stages of his career, not that invested in blocking all the time. Jordan Reed wanted to try, but just wasn't really a capable blocker. Logan wants to get his nose dirty, which is different for them at that position. And then the versatility, I mean, the trick play stuff and all the things he allows Scott Turner to do have really helped us offense.
Hey, real quick, last question about Dwayne. We'll let you go. Do you think the NFL would step in and take the decision out of Ron's hands and suspend Dwayne for the violation, especially since it was the second violation?
Part of me thinks the team would like them to, just to make it easier. Be like, the league said you're done. So
right.
I don't know. I kind of think if I was the NFL and I'm trying to be as stringent on COVID as they claim, I don't know why they wouldn't already. It requires that big of an investigation on this one. This seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
JP, thanks as always. We hope you have a great Christmas and a happy New Year if we don't talk to you before then, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks for the time,
bro.
You
guys too. Happy holidays. Yeah, anytime.
I'll text you later today. Yep.
That's JP Finlay from NBC Sports Washington at JP Finlay NBCS on Twitter. When we come back, we will take a look around the NFL with the Junkies Blitz next here on The Fan.